Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to the next episode of Wide Open, the podcast. I'm Tony Gonzalez, and my guest today is somebody I've been listening to his music for a long time, getting hype before games. Go Crazy was my hype song.
Yeah.
I'm talking about Jeezy.
What up, though?
Really appreciate you coming on the show, man.
I appreciate you having me, man.
Do guys tell you that? Players ever tell you, like, hey, I used to listen to music before the game?
It's crazy because it's always like me and Dion, we talk all the time. And he tell me about he listens to my music, when he runs and stuff. And then some of the younger guys are always like, before the games, and I'm just like, really? And what really was a crazy one when Kasim Reed won his first when he became mayor. That was the song he actually walked out to.
Go Crazy?
No, to Put On.
Put On.
Right,
yeah.
And when I saw him, I was excited to meet him because he's the mayor. And I'm like, okay. He's like, yo, Jeezy. I was like, what's up? He's like, man, I love Put On. That ain't what you expected from the mayor. You know what I'm saying?
No, not at all.
Right.
That's good. Well,
I loved it.
That's good. From Atlanta.
Yeah.
You're born in South Carolina, but you moved to Atlanta as a youngster, right?
Right.
And what was that like growing up? What was the neighborhood that you?
Well, I'm gonna put the plot. It's a plot twist. So a lot of people don't know this. So my father was in the military.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how I was born in South Carolina. So I went back to live with my grandmother, right? But then we went back to move with my father. When my father and my mother got back together, and at the time my father was in Japan, Okinawa. Mm-hmm. So I lived in Japan for all of Hawaii, Honolulu. So I lived there all of a year. Then I went to Japan, and I lived there for a while as a young teen. But I actually got kicked off the island because I brought a lot of the things that I was doing in Atlanta to Japan, which was like the street stuff and the stealing and all. Because I was stealing things on base and off base and sending them back to America for money. Mm-hmm. So my dad was wondering where I was getting all this money from, but that was my hustle. So then when I got kicked off the island, I had to go back and live with my grandmother, which was in Georgia, and that's how I got back to Georgia. Oh, okay. So I was in Georgia most of my.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, but they kicked you off the island.
Yeah, I had to go.
Like you're not even out. You can't.
I can't go. It was that or they was gonna court martial my dad. So he was just like,
yeah,
gotta go.
Get back to that. So what was it like going through all that? So it sounds like it's a lot of moving around.
Yeah, it was cool because one thing I pride myself in, even now to this day, it helped me out. It helped me for my vision to be broader, because just coming up from where I was coming up at, it was just the neighborhood. So you didn't see anything. So when I came back to the neighborhood, I already knew there was another world out there. So a lot of my peers and guys I was growing up with, they just knew the hood and what we was doing, which I knew well, but which gave me a upper hand on them because I understood how the world works because I had seen it. And then I came back. It's almost like you going to college and getting a dose of it and coming back to middle school and being like, yeah, so, and these guys are still trying to work to get to that, but I already seen it. So to me, I felt like it gave me an upper hand because a lot of people looked up to me because it just seemed like I knew a lot.
Yeah. But
I wasn't afraid to listen. And I learned that about being abroad or just being in a different, different atmosphere where people didn't mind helping you. You know what I'm saying? And you come back to the hood and everybody's for self. So I would help people.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So that made me seem like the guy to be around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you're growing up, who's helping you? Who's around you? You said your grandmother, your father. Like, what kind of roles were there?
My dad was, he's a good dude, man. Like he did his thing, and he was in the military, of course, which is I think he was forced because when my mother was pregnant with me, he had to do something. So the town that they were living in, it was, either you get a factory job or, you go do something out in the field. And I don't think he wanted to do that. So he chose the military, which was cool. You know what I'm saying? So, because he's all about discipline. So it just really put him in a different space and from the rest of his brothers and sisters. So he's able to travel the world. And for me, it was just different because I don't think my mother, she was from the hood like me. So it was like, she didn't adapt to it well. So, it was that. But just to answer your question, for me, like, dealing with it was, I think, a blessing.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, even like with some of the turmoil and some of the things that happened, I learned so much just by how broken my family was. Because I was forced to be an adult at a young age. You know what I'm saying? I was 14 years old, like running my entire house. Yeah.
So when you're doing that though, are you figuring that out on your own, or is there somebody that you can talk to, a mentor, anybody like that was usually for athletes, it's always like, okay, well, I had this coach because I didn't get it from my house, so I had this coach, or I watched television shows and I learned it from watching television. Who was that mentor or that adult voice to you?
Well, it was two things. It was definitely the older hustlers in the neighborhood, who took to me because I was like a sponge and I listened, and I would just sit around them, but I would know stuff that they didn't know. You know, just because I was witty like that. So they would ask me questions and I would have answers because I would sit around more adults. So that was like my end, that I had knowledge. You know what I'm saying? So I always had this knack of helping people. Like, no, I just do it like, because I think logical. And a lot of times when people are under pressure or they're trying to figure out how to get from A to Z, they make it complicated instead of making it simple. And that's my talent. I just make things simple. So that was that, and getting knowledge from them and taking it to the other homies. And to be honest with you, where I got a lot of my knowledge from was music. You know, I listened to, all types of music, and like Tupac was one of my greatest influences because I felt like he was before his time, and some of the things that he was saying like really resonated with me because I felt like they were like rules and laws, and it gave me like if that was my version of Think and Grow Rich back then, this just gave me my my playbook. I can't do this, I should do that, I gotta live like this, I gotta stick to this code. And I just exercised it until I just got great at it. And then I would learn from other music, like, just like the Master P's and those guys, how they was hustling. I'd be like, well, if they can do that, then I can. And so it was easy for me to like understand what they were saying and put it in my everyday life because I was living the life they was talking about. I was in the streets, I was going through the turmoil, I was doing the things, but it wasn't one person that you can actually go to and be like, hey, what do I do about this? Because they might can tell you like a piece or a fraction of it, but it's a whole bigger picture. So even if they tell you to do this, then what happens when you do that? You can't call them back and be like, so I did this, so what do I do now? So you got to learn on your own. So it was music, conversations, and it was always, my uncle told me a long time ago, listen more than you talk. So I would go in rooms and just sit there, just listen.
And see, you've said that a bunch already, like just listening. And there's a lot of kids that you grew up with, I'm sure, that were listening to the same music, around the same experiences that you were, but they're not listening. Like, what do you think it's about you? Do you think it was just like, hey, I was destined for this, that I'm a learner, I'm curious? Like, why are you, where does that come from?
I learned this. This is crazy. With me, if I can't go in a situation and walk away with something, like if I can't sit down with somebody having a conversation and feel like I walked away with something, or if I can't be in a relationship that I feel like mentally I get something, I just can't deal with it. I'm already clocked out. It's like sapiosexual shit. It's like I gotta, I have to meet in the mind because that's where it's at for me. Everything else is what it is. So it's just like I can sit down with somebody and having a conversation with them and hear their struggle as well and be like, because I got a lot of friends now that are, billionaires, millionaires, whatever, but if you listen to everything they talk about, they all had a struggle. And where I thought my struggle was real, sometimes theirs was realer. I was talking to one of my guys the other day, I was like, so what are you doing in the morning? And he just started telling me his ritual, but I know what mine is. But he telling me doing Tai Chi, tapping. I'm like, well, so what's tapping? So I'm just listening to what he does to set himself up because I know how he thinks. So evidently his morning rituals are on another level. But I want to hear that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Because mine are here. I need mine there. So I gotta, see how. But imagine if I just had a conversation with him like, how you make your money? And then it stops there. I don't know what it does to make the man. So that's the part I want to listen to because that's the connection. Because we all can get money. Obviously. But it's just like, what do you do that I'm not doing? How do you see things? What happened in your life that was a game changer for you? Like, what happened when you were just like, and he was telling me a story about him and his wife went through something in their company, and they both decided at the same time that they was gonna put everything to the side and focus on their company, and that's when it took off. But I wanted to know that moment because I know what my moment was.
Uh-huh.
You know what I'm saying? But I want to hear that because that puts me in a mind state to know just going forward, like, you know, how to think if I'm ever in that situation later on in life.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because now this is game from them.
Yeah.
So they're the older hustlers now. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So instead of it being like the guys that was on the block, these are the guys that I'm looking forward to it because they're doing big business. I'm like, how you doing this shit? You know what I'm saying? So just listening for me.
Yeah, that's
the key.
That's why I do this show. Because the people like movers and shakers like yourself, I always say that phrase, movers and shakers, people out there doing things. It starts with listening. Listening
Absolutely.
is the first thing that you can do. You better be curious before you anything else.
Absolutely.
And want to learn. So speaking of that then, how did you become a rapper? Like,
wow.
Were you writing down poetry at first? Because that's what lyrics are. I mean,
yeah, I did though. So this short but sweet. So I had this Filipino girl that was in my class. She was in my class my first 3 periods when I was going to school in Japan. Beautiful girl, and she wouldn't talk to me. So I started writing poetry and leaving it on her desk.
How old were you at this time?
Maybe like 11.
11?
Yeah.
Right.
Writing poetry and leaving it on her desk. And then she started to write me back. And I got her engaged. But I started realizing like the better I got at it, the more she would engage. And to the point like she became my girlfriend and once. You know what I'm saying? And we was like, you know, I had this thing, but I just saw how powerful my words were.
Yeah.
So I was like, wow. So when I moved back to the States, I kind of got away from it. But I love music. So I listened to music every morning I got up for school, you know, every time I did something. And I was just sitting there one day, I was like, my life is real, like, why can't I do music? So I didn't want to be a rapper. So I went out, bought all the studio equipment, and I got some guys from the hood and put them on. Then they end up getting in all this trouble. One of them got life, the other one, some crazy stuff happened to him. And it was just me and my partner. We were stuck in the studio that I spent all my money on. And I was tapped out. You know what I'm saying? I had any more bread. And he was just like, you got to do it. And I was like, you know what? I think I can. I just started making records. And believe you me, it was terrible in the beginning.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Oh my God.
Well, that's normal.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how
you think the Eazy-E story was bad. Mine was bad. you think Eric Wright had it bad. I had it bad. And
how old were you at this time now?
I was about 19 at this time.
19, and
Yeah,
that's
so
when you
fast
finally.
forward. Yeah.
That's when you finally started to really take it seriously.
Well, I started taking it seriously around the time that I saw a lot of my peers start to get real prison time, and the time was just too great for me, man. I just had to really just like, and actually I got a book that's coming out the end of this year that talks a lot about it, but I got in a place where, you know, I saw the opportunities, but I had to go cold turkey on my other life, which was kind of hard because I was taking care of my mother, funding my sister's school, and taking care of myself off of the hustle I knew. But I had to put that to the side to actually focus on music that wasn't promised, you know? So it was kind of like the biggest risk I ever took. And I just kept working at it and just trying to find my niche and my angle. And then I went back to what I knew, just thinking 20/20 hindsight, how my words from the young lady that I was trying to date, how that affected her, how when I was around older people, they asked me for my opinion on things. So I was just like, well, if my words can touch people like that, why can't it touch the masses? And if I'm gonna do music, I want to do motivational music. I want to do something that's gonna touch people and make them feel a way, not to be cool, but to have something to actually say and to spread my story. And that's just how I started. I just started talking about my real life, and that just clicked.
Yeah,
it was almost instant. You know, I started just.
What do you mean click? Like instant success from other people, or clicked in you? Like this is what I need to be doing.
This is it. Like it was like my purpose. That was my purpose. That was my calling. It was just like I've been. And my grandmother passed. She raised me, so she passed when I was about. She passed when I was about 22, and so she never seen any of this. But she used to tell me all the time, like, you know, all this stuff that you're doing is gonna, you know, you're gonna go to jail. Or you're gonna get killed out here. But then I flipped it. So all the stuff that I was doing actually helped me with my life because I understood it. But it just opened up so many doors for me because I knew it so well, but at the same time, I was, again, I was logical. I was like, I don't want to go to jail. You know what I'm saying? That ain't for me, and I don't want to not be here for my sister and my mother. I can do this, you know what I'm saying? But how can I do it in a way that, you know, like I said, I go back to Tupac and those guys that was really bringing something to the game. I was like, but what's my niche? Like, who am I? Like, what do I have to bring to the table? How can I make people's lives better? And it was the motivation thing, and it clicked. And it was corny to a lot of people at first because they didn't get it. And it was like, yo, why you rapping like that? Why don't you talk about it? And I'm just like, well, I don't understand that. I know this. It's like I'm not a carpenter, you know what I'm saying? I'm not a mechanic. I just know life. And I know about telling people how to overcome things because that's what I was doing to myself. I was like, I got to overcome this. It wasn't no playbook. So it was the music for me. So it's like, how does my music affect other people? If I'm that kid and I'm 14, 15, I'm sitting in my mother's trailer wasn't bigger than this room. You know what I'm saying? You imagine 6 people living here. You know what I'm saying? So how do I get my mother out of this trailer? So I was doing the music, and it was like when I would be out, like one person would be like, yo, man, you really touched me. And I'm just like, oh. Then it was like 10. Then it was like 20. Then it was 100. And then you're sitting there, you're going, oh, so now this makes you want to go harder and do more music. But the thing was, for me, I had 1 foot in and 1 foot out of the streets. So it was just like, I didn't know if I was going to be incarcerated. So I really gave it everything I had just so I could be heard. And that was my thing. Like, I'm just going to give it everything because I didn't know. You know, because those things take time. I mean, you could be free and clear, then come knock on your door 5 years later. So I had no idea. So I was just doing it, everything I could do, just relentless about it, putting everything in it. And I just remember waking up one day and being like, damn, I'm doing New York Summer Jam, and there's 60,000 people in the crowd.
Sorry for the dog, man.
No, we're cool. He got to do his job, baby.
By the way, yeah, this is, we do this at my house. So that was Chica,
right.
The dog barking at the mailman.
One time for Chica.
Yeah. But you were saying, you saying all of a sudden you looked up.
Yeah, and I was Summer Jam, 60,000 people in attendance. And my special guest that I brought out was Jeezy and Drake that year. You know, and this is a guy that came from a little, dingy studio in the basement, just trying to figure it out. But my message was clear, And even like now when I hear people say, you told us to trap or die, it's like, nah, the message was you have to believe in yourself. You got to. Like, nobody else is going to be your biggest fan. You got to understand. Like, for me, it wasn't just the music that was the journey. Like, I can make music in my sleep, but it's what goes with it. What's the story behind it? Like, have you ever seen somebody with a product that, it just blows off the shelves and you like, but then they got this backstory behind it,
Yeah.
Like, it's just, I don't know, like Tito's, it's gluten-free. We don't know that, but it's just like, it sounds like it's amazing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, but it's his backstory. So in my music, the backstory was, I've been through all these things, but I'm just sharing what I've learned with you to tell you that you still have to believe in yourself. So my music, when they banned the snowman, my emblem, the snowman, and CNN banned it and all those things, it was crazy because it was like, there was nothing about that snowman that was, they banned it from middle schools and high schools, but it was not off of t-shirts, but it was nothing about that was disrespectful. It's the power they saw in it. And I never forget, my mom called me when I was on tour in London. And I was doing, London and Paris and all these things. And she's like, babe, you seen the news? I was like, nah. She's like, Obama shouted you out at the correspondence dinner. And I'm like, nah, he couldn't have done that. I would have heard about it. She said, I'm going to send it to you. And when I saw it, I sat there and I just shook my head. I was like, man, that's what's up. He shouted me out. But, I did a lot to help his campaign with the My President's Black song.
Yeah.
And a lot of stuff that I was doing in Atlanta. And when I flew out to go to the correspondence dinner in New York, the Secret Service wouldn't let me in. Which was crazy to me because I feel like they should have told you that beforehand. So I don't know if my team dropped the ball or whatever, but I just had this like thing like, dang, man, like how I go out here and do all this for Obama He don't even acknowledge it. And when he shouted me out the dinner, I was just like, yeah. You know what I mean? It was like one of those things like, you can't stand close to somebody because of their past, and that's just my past. It comes with me.
Yeah.
But he shouted me out from a distance. But I couldn't help but to think about all the cats that see me in my endeavors or see me, just that militant, disciplined, determined young cat that was on the block. And now you get to see the president of the United States, the most powerful man in the free world. Shout out your homeboy.
Yeah.
Just based off of, just based off of what he believed in. Because it's crazy, because even when I go back and I visit, I just see a lot of cats that I used to, just be right beside on the same block, on the same pavement. And the only thing that's different between us is, our dreams and how far we was willing to go to get it done. And I just feel like my music is my soundtrack to those dreams and those goals.
Yeah. So when you're going through that, though, you said you have to believe in yourself.
Yeah.
For the people out there listening, especially when things like, how are you making money while you're out there working on your craft?
Right.
And how do you maintain that belief in yourself when maybe it doesn't look so good?
Right.
How do you maintain that hardcore? Because I believe that too. I'm like, if you don't believe in yourself, first of all, why the hell else should anybody else believe in you? And second of all, I don't think that's how you manifest anything. I don't think it comes with a negative attitude. I think you have to absolutely say, it is me, and this is my purpose, and I found it, and I'm going to make it happen.
Well, two things. The first thing is being a black man, especially in that time and this time, you already up against so much. You have to believe. I have people all the time tell me, like, you're too positive. I'm like, I already know what the other option is. So I'd rather for this. I'm a prepare for the worst. I'm expect the best, but prepare for the worst. Like, I know that's gonna happen, but I also know I'm good at that. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? I'm good at adversity. It's like my high. It's like if it don't work, I'm gonna learn something, but then I'm gonna try something else. I'm not gonna let that derail me, but I'm gonna think positive because I wanna think as far as I can think. So that's my mentality about just life, period. Just, you have to be relentless, but at the same time, if you're not positive, or at least you can see both sides, because a lot of people like to know, what am I facing? What's the fear? Cool, I get it. But if you've seen the type of things that I've seen, then fear is what it is. It's an emotion. Like, it's nothing else. But you know it's there. You know what I mean? So it's just like, I'm gonna be a risk taker, because if I don't take the risk, then nobody's gonna take them for me. So I gotta believe in myself. Mm-hmm. And the second thing is, like, what I was doing to get money, I had to be honest, like, I was doing some pretty major things, man. Like, some things that probably would have got, like, all the guys that I was running with, and they were running with me at the time, nobody probably got less than 20 years, and the rest got life. Mm-hmm. So, I was lucky. And I tell people all the time, that are really close to me, like, when they ask me, I be like, God, I feel like, and I do believe in God, but I feel like God put me in this position for me to touch people the way I touch them, and this is my purpose. Because there's so many times I could have been in either an iron box or a wooden box. So many times. Like, I can count on two hands, the times I slipped death or slipped the penitentiary, and I'm just like, damn, how did, and it's crazy because up until the recession, which was like my fourth studio album, maybe fourth, I was still under the impression I might go to jail. Mm-hmm. And I just woke up one day and I was just like, I'm free. I can make an album, I can make songs. And that's when I really started, reading up on politics and just understanding how the world works outside of my neighborhood, and just write my music a little bit more for the world. But it takes time to get to that process. And here go again about listening. I started going to other rooms and realizing that I wasn't the smartest person in the room, and that was cool. And I didn't have to control the situation to try to control the narrative. I'm here to learn, I'm here to understand, I'm here to see. I'm here to see what pushes other people. I'm here to understand how you put these things together. Because the whole time, like, music for me was, I looked like the streets was a stepping stone. Music was a stepping stone. Business is something that I wanted to do back then, but I just couldn't come off the streets and just do business. So all these were stepping stones for me to get to where I wanted to go, because those are the guys that I respected. Because I always wondered, like, if you're sitting on the block and you doing these things, and you got people go out here and die over $100, all the time. You know what I'm saying? But then you got somebody that can, go out here with their mental and make hundreds of millions of dollars just by their resources and their relationships. And they don't do much. And their lives are so different. And but we put in the same amount of time. So I'm like, what do they know that I don't know?
Yeah.
I want to go stand beside them, not because they're successful, but I just want to know what makes them tick, because if I'm going to risk my life for this, why won't I risk my time for that? Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? It's like I'd rather be almost an intern. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want to learn, like, how you doing this? You know what I mean? And if you look at anybody from the music industry that's successful now, they all start as interns.
Yeah.
As far as like the executive people, like the Kevin Lyles and the L.A. Reeds and all these big guys, they learned from somebody else, and then they just took what they learned and kept it pushing. So my thing is, am I in a position where I'm safe enough to be around these people? How can I go learn to take this back to my culture? Take this back to my culture so that they can see that this is possible. Yeah. So where the music was a tool to get people to see how far they can go, that's not even far enough anymore. Now I have to show them with my actions. Like, what can I do with my actions? When you see me do these multi-tech deals or these spirit deals with Avion Tequila and sell it to Pernod Ricard, and this Defiance Fuel, that we're working on selling to one of the major cola companies right now, is like, I'm taking what I learned in the streets and applying it in the boardroom, because I listened the whole way. Uh-huh. So now it's like I'm still on point. So when I'm walking into these rooms, I don't have the pressure of, I don't have to win. I just have to learn. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And I just have to use my tactics of being cool and not making any sudden movements. Yeah. It's like looking at everything as what it is and say, oh, well, we should do that. Uh-huh. Then it works and they look at me like a genius. But it's just what I learned in the streets.
Yeah, and you know what? I think there's something to be said about being authentic. Right. And like you said, this is the same way that you built your career as an artist. Right. I always look at it with me. I said, this is what I forgot. When I got done playing football, it's like all those rituals and mindset. The mindset that I had when I played football was one, like you said, like this self-belief, this loving and having a passion for what you do. Like, it never turned off from me when I was playing. Right. And then when I got done playing and I'm making that transition into the next stage of my career, which has been television, it's like I forgot all about that shit. I was just, and it broke me for a while, where I was depressed and I was like, what am I doing? And it's like, and then I finally woke up one day with the help of my wife, where it was just like, nah, you got this. Like, you need to have that same attitude. When you show up, there's no doubt in your mind, and you will go through those hard times. But first of all, quitting is never an option. It is about perseverance and pushing through it. And I want to ask you a question about that. Was there ever a time while you were coming up, still trying to be an artist, still rapping, where you hadn't made it yet, that you thought about quitting, or was there a pivotal moment that you said, I'm gonna push aside that old life and I'm gonna go for it? Like, was there a specific moment? Because I feel like a lot of people, they can relate to something like that, where it's like, okay, well, tell me what happened and how you got through that mentally. Okay.
Well, three things. There's always the wife that gets you back on track. So it's always that. The second thing is, a friend told me something a long time ago, older gentleman, and he was like, I was playing basketball on the court, and he was teaching me about my jump shot or whatever. And he was just telling me it's all in your mental, it's all in your mental. And I had a boxing coach that did the same thing. It's all in your mental, it's all in your mental. And what I learned from them, what they was trying to teach me, because my boxing coach always say, do the same thing out there that you did in the gym. You know what I mean? He still says that to this day. And I always was like, whoa. And what I learned from that, and what you was just saying about that transition, what you forgot is, we, and even myself on the block, and I had to remind myself that's who I am. You know what I'm saying? But we can't forget, we can't learn all these things inside the lines, as they call them, like the field, you know what I mean, the basketball court, the boxing gym, inside the lines, the block, And then when you get outside of the block, you forget them. Or you get outside of the basketball court, you forget it. You get outside of the football field, you forget it. Because those are the fundamentals of life. It's just the game is just different. So if you apply those same tactics to your life, you can't lose. Because it's like football. Like if you love it and you give it everything you got, and you do life the same, you can't lose. And that's what I had to learn. It's just like I'm changing, but that don't mean I have to change who I am in my core. Like I can still take these skills that I learned and apply them to this. And that's how I was able to keep pushing. And to answer your question about being in music and having a chance, a time that I wanted to quit, I had a time where I was probably in a gray area and I didn't understand how to be an artist, meaning like I just knew how to hustle. That's what I was got. I was not going to, like, you could have more talent because I've been in sessions, I was just like, oh, he's got really, have you ever been in a session with Jeezy and just go, oh shit. I got to do my verse. He go to the corner, you like, that ain't gonna work. You like, no, he's a real rapper and I'm not. You know what I'm saying? Like I never went in, like I never had a backpack. I never like wrote down rhymes in middle school. I never, freestyled at the lunchroom table. But now you're in the room with Jay-Z and you got to write a verse. You're in the room with Lil Wayne, you got to write a verse. You know what I mean? You're in Hawaii with Kanye. He wants you to help him with his album. And you're going, man, I really don't know what the fuck I'm doing. You know what I mean? But I understand who I am. So I just had to stay with me. And the thing that I had and I had to realize, like, they want a piece of what I am. You know what I mean? So just stay true to myself, say what I would say, do what I would do. And every time it worked for me. But I always had that moment where I was just like, damn, like, okay, I'm here now, so what do I do? And I never forget, it was like, the one time I could say I actually fluked, like that I really like, fluke was, what's this, man, the last, Jay, it was a Beyonce song, man. It was Drunken Love. We in the studio, Jay-Z, Beyonce, and I'm just popping, and I'm telling B, I got bars. I've been writing in the shower. I'm crazy with it today. I woke up, I'm just on it. And she's like, oh yeah, pull up this song. And they put up Drunken Love. And there was so many people in the room, and I'm like, I had been sipping a little bit. I'm like, man. So I was like, I'm just gonna freestyle. You know what I'm saying? So I just go in the booth, freestyle the verse. Don't know what I was thinking about, because there was so many people, I just wanted to get it done. And normally I would have went in my little corner and write it, but it was so many like Pharrell, this one, that. So I didn't want to write. So I go in there, I knock it out freestyle, get home that night. Man, I should have wrote that first. I could have killed it. Yeah. I didn't do that. I didn't stick to my guns. A week later, Jay-Z called me. What you doing? I was like, I'm chilling. He's like, oh, I wrote a verse for that Drunken Love song, by the way, so don't worry about it. I was like, damn. I missed my chance for a Beyonce feature. You know what I mean? Not sticking to my guns. So, B, if you're listening, we need to recoup. Get it back together. But to answer your question.
How do you deal with something like that, though?
I just got to get better.
Do you ever look at you? Because those type of things that I think happen to everybody. Right. Like that can knock you down a little bit.
Well, no, right? it made me feel like I was getting lazy. Yeah, I really had to check myself.
So you look at it and you say, you know what? I
wrote everything. I wrote everything after that, and I just took it serious because, to be honest with you, like I was in the place where I really had a writer's block because I didn't know what I really wanted to talk about, even for myself. I just could have said that, you know what I mean, and been like, yo, let me just get it, live with it, because that's what I do. Like if I love something, like let me get it, let me live with it, and I just take my time and critique it and do that. I didn't do that, you know what I mean? That's my formula. Yeah. So I fought myself, so that means I got to get back on my formula. Like you getting a little lax out here, you shouldn't do that. And it always happened at the time with something that could be life changing. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? That's what really make you go back. It's almost like, you got to check yourself. You know what I'm saying? Like that was an opportunity. You don't get a lot of those. So like I missed an opportunity because I wasn't sticking to who I was. And doing what I learned inside those lines, outside of the lines. Yeah,
good. Lesson right there. You were in Boys in the Hood. Yeah. And then from there, you decided to go solo.
No. I was solo. I was just getting my buzz up. I put out all these mixtapes. So how I got my mixtape career, I used to go to this club on the east side of Atlanta and pass out my CDs at this club, the same club, Sunday night, for like 6 months until they booked me for a show. That's the first show I got.
Same club for six months. People out there, listen to that.
Yeah, I pressed
and all the time. It's
every
don't take no for an answer.
No for an answer. And I was passing out CDs, and I actually pressed up, and this was Streets is watching. This is Trap or Die. I pressed up maybe about 300,000 units of this and gave it out. And I would go to all the big music events and just pass it out. And that's how I was getting my buzz on. So around that time, Def Jam called, and Kevin Liles called me, which was a great friend of mine at the time. And Shakir Stewart, he passed, but he's out of Oakland. One of my good friends too, but he actually committed suicide around the time. So they called and they were like, yo, LA wants to meet you. So they took me to Def Jam. I got the Def Jam deal. So I'm working on my album, getting everything together. And around that time, Kim Porter, she's passed, which is Puffy's son's mother. She was friends with one of my guys, and they had this group, and they wanted me to come do a feature because I was warming up in the streets. And the first feature was the song Them Boys. So Kim called me up to the studio. I went over and I did the Them Boys, and I already had a Def Jam deal in play. And I killed it. Like, it was just one of those things. I took my time, you know what I mean? Because everybody was in the room, it was a group. And I was like, I want to write my verse. And I went to the side, and it took me a long time because I didn't really know who they were at the time, but I just knew how I wanted to kill it. So I had this formula how I wrote my verses back then. And it took time because I wanted the cadences to be right, whatever. So I just remember everybody in the whole studio like, oh man, he's taking too long. Y'all want him in the group. And I remember I came out and I did it, and they played it, and I went in the hallway to listen to the verse, and everybody in the studio ran in the control room like, what the fuck? Like, this is crazy. So boom, it was on, and I just remember it was like, yo, we got to get him in the group because it started off a feature. So I was like, well, I don't know if I really want to be in the group. But then my marketing mind kicked in. I was like, well, when y'all gonna drop the album? It's like, whenever you want to drop the album. So Puff called me. Puff was like, yo, I got to have you in this group. I'll never forget, I was going to Magic City. And you know anything about Magic City, which is one of the biggest strip clubs in Atlanta.
Big one.
Right. He said it's a big one. That's that married talk right there. It's a big one.
Yeah, I've heard of that one.
Right.
Yeah, I've heard of it.
And I was walking in, and he called me like 10 times. But like, imagine Puffy calling you 10 times back to back.
Yeah.
He's like, yo, Jeezy. I was like, yo, I'm going to Magic City, man. This was like a ritual. We go to Magic City, throw all this money, make it rain. That's how we was getting our records broke. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, I'm going to Magic City. I got this new song. I'm about to go premiere it. He's like, no, I need you to go to Kinko's. I need you to sign this paperwork and go to Kinko's and send it back to me. I was like, yo, man, I'm not signing no contract and sending it back through Kinko's. He's like, no, you got to do it. So I'm like, yo, man, I said I'll come to New York next week. So I flew to New York, sat down with Puff, and at the time, Kevin Liles signed me to Def Jam with L.A. Reid, and he left 2 weeks after he signed me. So he left and went to Atlantic Records. And it was crazy because he was the president. So now I don't have any allies that's the president. And lo and behold, I'm going to Def Jam. I see this Maybach pull up, and I'm like, damn. Door opens. Jeezy, what up? It's Jay-Z. I'm like, what's up, man? He's like, yeah, man, you know. He said, you going up? Come on, walk up with me. I was like, what you doing here? He's like, you ain't know? I was like, nah. He's like, I'm the new president. We good. I was like, oh, so we good, good. He's like, yeah. So I'm walking up, I'm telling Jay, I was like, yo, Puff wants to do this deal. I want to do it, but I just want to do a one-op. Can you help me with it? And he was like, yeah, we'll do it. So I had a Def Jam deal, and this was unheard of. So I went in and I negotiated myself a deal with Puff to do a Boys in the Hood album for a one-op. Like, I mean, I would just do one album with the group. And so in my mind, I set it up. I was like, when y'all want to drop it, and they wanted to drop it, I think like July something. So I pushed my album back to July 26th and let them drop 2 weeks before me so I could use that for promo. Yeah. And that was my plan. Yeah. So I went and sat down with Puff, and he's like, what do you want? I wrote it on a napkin and slid it over to him. I was like, if we can do that, we got a deal. He's like, man, all right, cool. And we did it. And I just remember going to the 4040 Club after with Jay and Puff, and we all sitting there shooting pool, and I'm just thinking to myself, like, damn, I just negotiated a deal, you know, because I negotiated the whole deal and called my lawyer, like, just look at everything straight, cool, sign it, it's done. He was like, who did this for you? I was like, me. You know what I mean? That was like my first time seeing my power. But here again, what I learned on the block, I was able to use that in my real life and able to get with two power players that, you know, pretty much ran the music industry at that time and have a relationship with both of them so I can achieve the goal that I was trying to achieve, which was be in the group and still have a solo album. I think Boys in the Hood came out and did like 500,000, which was gold. My album came out 2 weeks later. I sold 2.4 million. Yeah.
That's good.
Right.
That's really good.
Right.
You know, well, the reason I was going to ask you that is, I mean, going solo, it looks like you already had that belief. It's not like you had to use that group to get reps and to get your name out. Like, it was already going to happen anyway, it sounded like.
I was really buzzing. Like, the group to me was, the song was so big, I kind of would have did myself a, you know, disjustice not to be a part of the group because it's legacy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
But I want to talk about the fear of going off on your own, like having that belief. But you've kind of already answered that question. It seems like you always. Yeah. I'm getting that. There's a little what do you call it? There's a cycle here. There's a way of doing things, and for you, and it sounds like this constant belief, and it seems like the right place at the right time. You're getting out of the car.
Yeah.
What do you say to a young artist out there who's trying to come up and saying, "Oh, hey, I feel like I got the skills, I have the belief, but how do I go make something like that happen?"
I mean, you gotta really have purpose behind it. Like, you gotta have, because making music, as you see now, is so easy. But it's like, who's gonna stay and last the test of time? Because you have to contribute something that nobody else brings to the game. And so I would just tell anybody that's up and coming, like, just stay true to you and do what you feel, because music is art, is an expression, you know. It's like if you wrote a book, it would be about your life, you know what I mean, or what you've seen through your own two eyes. So you can't get into this game and get caught up on the smoke and mirrors and what's going on, because, and I even did that. Like, I took a job at Atlantic Records as a vice president of A&R. And I was sitting in these meetings, and they'd be like 10-hour meetings about making songs. And I'm like, okay, well, if we're gonna sit here for 10 hours, I could have helped your artist make 100 songs in 10 hours in the studio. Like, what are we doing? So I would just sit there and listen to it and listen to how they would, like, try to, oh, we gotta put CeeLo with this one and put Bruno Mars with that. And I'm just like, how many of y'all have even wrote records? Like, I don't understand. Like, you know, how does this work? And when I saw that, it just made me be more rebellious about art and letting people interfere with it, because at the end of the day, it's just like, you have to be an artist. You know, you can't let people tell you what's gonna work for you based off of analytics and what they think, you know, might it's not true to you. And if you ever find yourself, like, you know, you were saying in your situation when you was making that transition and you felt a little lost, like, who you gonna go back to if you don't know where you're going? It's like a mental GPS. Like, if you get lost and off track, you gotta at least be able to go back to yourself and say, okay, well, look, I was going this way anyway. So let me just keep going this way, and whatever comes with that, I'll figure it out. But I'm not gonna let somebody tell me I should go to the left and at 500 feet take a right, and now I don't even know where I'm at. You know what I'm saying? And that happens with success, because people will come around and they'll tell you all these great ideas. What I've learned throughout my career is just like, you know, just make decisions. Don't make abrupt decisions, but make quick decisions, and just know that either way is consequences. It could be good, it could be bad, but you just got to be ready for whatever come with that. But stick to you, because people get around people and become what they want them to be. But imagine if you're hanging around 6 different groups of people. You're 6 different people.
Yeah.
And then when these people are gone, you don't even know who you are anymore. Like, you lost. You know what I mean? So just stay you, because that's why they want to be around you in the first place. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. In the music industry, since you came in, was it 97, right?
96, 97.
96, 97. It's changed, right?
Absolutely.
Just because of, I mean, everything's changed for everybody. Right. Television's changed, movies have changed. Right. Since you've seen it from whatever, 20-something years ago now, how has it changed? Do you like the way it's changed with social media, with all these different platforms? Do you think it's harder
I think it's
now
easier.
or easier now?
Easier. Mm-hmm. I think it's easier to get on, harder to stay. Mm-hmm. I will say, with anything that the culture brings to the table, somebody's going to try to find a way to monetize from it. So I think now it's being exploited more. Like it's not as pure as it used to be. You know, like we just call it in the streets. It's been stepped on. But you got to respect it because it's a hustle now. So it's not really an art. You know what I mean? You find more people that get a niche and they can go. And you can't really knock that because you got to look at, you know, Michael Jordan and those guys when they was playing. Like, and a lot of these new guys, they got, you know, 10, 15 other outlets of revenue just off the fact that they look, you know, they look marketable. So you can't hate on it, but you gotta applaud them for even putting it in the game where they have the power now. So where I had to go out and pass out 500,000 CDs, you know, 300,000 CDs, you know what I'm saying? They can press one button, you know what I'm saying? And reach, you know, millions of followers. And it's just like, you know, the game changes and it evolves. My thing is just like, you know, let's try to keep as much integrity about it as possible because like any great thing, once it's, you know, overconsumed, people don't, you know, they don't care as much.
Yeah.
And to me, I think it's a great way for these young cats to get out of the hood, for them to find things that, for them to even become, you know, entrepreneurs and put other people in power. Because, you know, they have to have a team, they have to have management, they have to have, tech people, all these different things. So they're doing their just due. I respect the fact that the labels aren't as involved anymore. That's the fact that's what I do because a lot of these cats are going independent. They're doing well. But that just shows me that they don't need the label as much as the label think we used to need them. Yeah. And I'm just gonna be real. I only took a record deal because I didn't want to go to prison, like point blank period. I was like, I gotta get my mom my house. I gotta figure this out. But had not been the circumstances, oh man, jeez.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah.
man, I
the power's back to the artist.
Oh yeah,
now. That's
it's
what
all the way back.
But I love how you said that it's a lot easier to get on, but to stay hot, you can't be a flash in the pan.
Oh no, man, they putting out. If you really think about it, it's probably 30, 40, 50,000 records coming out a day.
Yeah, yeah,
that's a lot.
And in order to really stay, I mean, you got to have something special.
Yeah.
You talked about your collaborations with Jeezy, with Beyonce. You mentioned P. Diddy, and you worked with a lot of people. What has been the one do you think was most pivotal for your success?
Success. I would definitely say the Jay-Z thing was big because New York was really riding with me at the time. And for a Southern cat to get Jay-Z on his first album, that was a big deal. Also, Kanye West, when he gave me my verse for my album for Put On, that was the first verse he had rapped since his mother had passed, which was probably one of his best verses ever. He probably begged to differ. That was a turning point in my career because I just really felt like the world accepted my message different, because I was able to put together a song that resonated with everyone that was about my city. You know what I'm saying? And I think everybody went with that. And the one I would say most was definitely Soul Survivor with Akon. Uh-huh. That changed everything. That took me from being this kid that was passing out mixtapes to a worldwide sensation. I mean, I would be in the airport and African kids, yo man, what's Akon Jeezy? I'm like, what the hell? And I didn't even know who they knew who I was, but I was just like, yo, and to be honest, because I knew Con, you know what I'm saying? Like being around the way. I didn't realize, this is the same cat I stand beside in the club because I knew him when I was in the streets. Huh. And I didn't realize how big he was over there. Like, I had no idea until that song came out and I was just like, wow, like he is huge, you know what I mean? And that song to me, just shooting that video in the middle of Brooklyn and everybody coming out from Jim Jones to Cameron and just in that era of time, like I don't even think they was getting along. And then you had Jay-Z out there, you had Meech out there, you had the whole BK, Beanie Siegel played in there. It was just, I did the Paid in Full remake. It was phenomenal. It was electrifying, you know what I'm saying? Uh-huh. And I just remember when the video came out and the song really just hit, I just remember the shift. You know what I mean? I remember it was a shift for me being able to just go to the mall and just walk around and buy me some sneakers. You know what I mean? Until it was like they was having to shut the mall down. I was like, oh, you know, you know what I mean? And it was like night and day. It was like it happened so fast. And I was just like, one song can do that. And I never knew.
How do you handle that success? I mean, because that's a lot of people, believe it or not.
Right.
I've seen it in sports. You see it in it doesn't matter what industry, and I don't care if you're even in business. You get that quick hit.
Right.
Not quick hit. You've been working your ass off your whole life to get it, but then it happens. A lot of people can't handle that. Did you have somebody that was mentoring you or that you were listening to as you go through something like this?
Well, no, because for me, like, you know, I was naturally like a superstar in my neighborhood. Like I was always the guy that had the nice things, that did the fly stuff. But I think I went through a lot of survivor's remorse. That was my most part, because a lot of the time, around that time, a lot of my friends were getting incarcerated. A lot of things were going on. My life changed. I was on tour. I would come back to all these bad stories about people I loved or knew, or then you would just see them, and I just, saw different things in my health that I would just notice too. Like, you see people when you go and I'm getting dental work and I'm getting my teeth cleaned every 3, just taking care of myself. You come back and you see your people and, they missing teeth and the skin is bad. You just like, damn, like what's going on? Because you might not see them for like 6, 7, 8 months. And I went through this phase where I just wanted to help everybody. So I literally moved my whole neighborhood in my house. My first mansion I had, my whole neighborhood stayed there. I had 3 tour buses. I went down, I got everybody. It was literally a cookout or some type of party in my house every day. And it was like everybody was living in my house, and I just thought
that costs a lot of money, doesn't it? I mean, that's a lot of that's what I mean. Like when you're dealing with that type of success, that's where a lot of guys go broke. Right. You get people, out of the goodness of your heart, but then some people might take advantage of you.
Yeah, I went through all that. And that was the hardest. That was the hardest part of my career, because making that transition from who I was and who I was growing to be was like the most painfulest thing I ever went through. Like, because it was just like, hit after hit after, just situation after, and it's just like you want to be everything for everybody, but you can't. And then you're having people telling you that you shouldn't be that, and then you're looking at them like, but you wasn't with me from the beginning. You just work with me now. Yeah. And then it's like, well, he's been there, and I've been through this with him and that, and it's just like all that. And I ain't gonna even sit up here and lie to you. Like, that's probably like the darkest time of my life, because I was like when I say drinking, I mean drinking. Like I would wake up champagne all day, vodka all day, and it's like I was numb, whatever I had to do to numb it. Yeah. And it got to the point where like, things started happening and it just got chaotic. It was just like a dark cloud. It was like I was getting into all these crazy incidents, shootouts happening around me. Like it was like life or death. Like sometimes I would leave the house, I didn't even know if I came back. I was like, I'm just gonna wear some nice clothes in case it happened today. You know what I'm saying? At least I'm gonna look good. I mean, that was my mentality.
Really, you at that point, you thought, okay, there's no guarantee that I could be dead by the end of the day.
Yeah, and when I left the house, that's why I was just like, all right, cool, so let's go do it. And we got to that point, because a lot of the cats that I was, even cool with or I was entangled in with the streets, that was even outside, because, where I came from was very gang-related, you know what I'm saying? So all that came with me, and then the cats I was dealing with in the streets that was making jokes about me doing music, their stuff wasn't working out for them. So they was coming to prison and going to prison and coming home, and then seeing me, and then when I be out, it's like all this tension. So all these crazy things were happening, and I just didn't understand, because I'm like, I love all y'all. Like, what are we doing? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's been a point where we've all been hanging out and toasting and celebrating, and we love you, and it got to that point, and it was just really dark for me. So it was just survivor's remorse, but here again, I had to believe in myself that I would be okay by myself. You know what I'm saying? Like, just, I'd be okay. And it was like the last incident that happened in California, where something actually happened in Oakland, where I was on tour with Wiz Khalifa, and somebody actually got, killed in front of my tour bus on the tour at the venue. And I'm just like, I wasn't even there. I left the stage and went to my hotel room, and I was actually on my way back to the venue to get on my tour bus, and my tour manager called me. She's like, don't come back, this happened. So boom, that happened. So they canceled the next date, so we ended up coming to Anaheim for the last show of the tour. 20,000 people, like 25,000 in attendance. And it's my time to go on the stage, and I'm pulling up to the venue, and the police from Oakland came to Anaheim with the detectives and pulled me off my bus and locked me up for what happened at the thing, and I wasn't even there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And what I experienced is I get in there, they lock my bus driver up, my cameraman. These are not even guys from the block. This is my cleanest tour ever. Like I didn't do anything. And it's like 8 of us locked up, and the judge gave us $1 million bail apiece, and I'm just sitting there like, what the, like $1 million for what? So that's $8 million.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting there, and my team come to get me, and they go, we got to get you out first. And I go, man, we're in LA County Jail. I cannot leave these people here by themselves. They don't even know nothing about what's going on. And without me, they're gonna be food in here. Like, I gotta at least be here so I could, politic. And that was my first unselfish moment ever. You know what I'm saying? Because I wanted to get out. I was more so embarrassed about, anything, because I had a job at Atlantic Records, I had Avion, Tequila, Pop Out, all these things, you know what I mean? And now I'm locked up when I was on tour and I didn't do anything. And all these people that was living in, my house and being around all these things, nobody lifted a finger. And that taught me one thing. I was in it by myself. And when I got everybody out, and I ended up, eventually beating it because I had nothing to do with it. I wasn't there. That was like the end of the journey.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, me as the man, I'm staying by myself. I mean, anybody, you know what I'm saying? I just need my employees, do your job. And my friends that I had for, over decades that are still my friends, we're cool, but they know how to keep a distance because they know the things they into, I can't be into that no more.
Yeah.
And then the people that I associate myself with or do business with, we have a real relationship, but it's like me as an individual, I just had to put all that behind me because as much as I gave, when it was really time for somebody to step up and be like, I got you, nobody was there.
Yeah.
And that, like, more than anything.
Yeah, it hurts.
Yeah.
It hurts. And that happens so much. And like I said, it doesn't matter what genre or where you're from, you get that when you achieve that certain level of success. And you've seen it. That was one of the questions I wanted to ask you about, Mac Miller, Lil Peep, Juice WRLD, Pop Smoke, people that have lost their lives either through drugs or through violence. And a lot of that comes off of well, the violence is usually jealousy. Somebody's out there not happy for you. Or you're going through all the success. You're finally, everything you've worked so hard to get, and then you see that when you get there, the pressure that comes with that. And so people start using drugs. And they start, really ruining their lives. What's your advice to these young? Have you mentored some of these young guys that are coming up now?
Well, I try to just give them the game without them feeling like, because I've been that young guy too, where people like trying to tell me something. I'm like, man, what are you talking about? I don't want to hear that. So I just be like, I just keep it cordial with them. Like, yo, what you doing? That ain't it. I just kind of can't tell somebody who's the captain of their tank, how to move, but you can just kind of put it out there for them to see. I think the thing with Pop Smoke was tragic because, and I spoke on it on my social media, not because, that it was any of my business, but it's just like, I'm confused. Like, how do you move out of one of the toughest cities in America, which is Brooklyn, New York, and then you get your life taken in Hollywood Hills? Like, it doesn't make sense. Obviously, he was trying to do the right thing, but it follows you.
Yeah.
So that means that, he left his environment, his habitat, and then, the dark cloud followed. I'm just like, that doesn't make sense to me. It's backwards. You know what I'm saying? When you see somebody make that move, you gotta let him be. He already made his move. But that goes to show, what I was saying about the game is just like 5% of it is talent when it comes to our culture and what we do. The other 95% is survival. And that's the part you gotta be good at. We all can make a song. She can make a song. You know what I'm saying? But you have to know how to survive because these are the things that you bring with you, just being from that. And that's the hardest part because, Bankroll Fresh, Doe B, just a lot of these guys that pass like that, you see the potential in them, you see they had a star power, but the thing that they forget the most is you gotta survive through this. You know what I'm saying? Like you can put out records and you can have songs and you can be successful, but how do you survive so that you can sit around and be like the guys that you look up to, the Jay-Z's and these different guys that, the Dr. Dre's that made it and they still making money, but they have like even Ice Cube. I like Ice Cube. if you ever sat down and probably talk to him, he probably tell you some shit we would never believe. Because he went through it when it was real, but look how he turned out. You know, same thing as Snoop. And people see them and be like, yo, they old, but it's like, nah, man, they survived.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They different war veterans, man. They still out here enjoying life. Can you would hope
adapt.
that you can say, and you gotta adapt. You can hope you would hope that you can say that when you're their age and still look at life and not be mad at it like it owes you something. And that's my thing with that. But my thing with like Juice WRLD and Mac Miller and those guys, just like, you know, I've never had an addictive personality, and I couldn't because of what I dealt with in my past and how hands-on and close I was to that type of stuff. And I made a decision a long time ago that I wouldn't, you know, quote unquote, get high on my own supply. And probably the best decision I ever made, because I seen friends fall to the wayside from heavy drug addiction, and you see them now and they weigh, you know, 70 pounds, and you talking guys that was 250 solid. Because they chose to, you know, go that route. Or these young guys that, you know, put it in their music, which is cool, you know, I get it. But at the end of the day, like, if you need all that to survive, are you really surviving? Like, are you really living? If you take that much time out of your day to be in that state, like, do you even know who you are? Like, some of these people probably look in the mirror, don't even know who they are because they're high all the time. And it's coming through the music, you know what I'm saying? So it's just the message, you know, but at the end of the day, like, my sister, she's a nurse, and she calls me all the time and tells me about, you know, all these situations where these kids are coming in and dying because they're taking these perks that are not real Percocets. There's something people are making on the streets and killing them. And I'm like, wow, like, people are actually dying to get high. Like, that's crazy to me. But at the end of the day, it's just like, that's when I grew up, my era was to make money. You know what I'm saying? Vice versa, doing it the other way. And this era is to get high. You know, I can't say I'm right.
Yeah.
I can't say they wrong. We just got to find a happy medium. You know what I'm saying? Because I did a lot of bad things too. So I can't come in and be like, yo, you. Yeah. I just be like, yo, man, you know, just take care of yourself, man. Yeah. Be safe at least, you know? Yeah. Be safe. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Right.
I read that you said you have to lose what you have in order to get what you want.
Yeah.
What do you mean by that?
I mean, in life, I had a wise friend that told me that, man. And just like I was sitting down making some life decisions, and it's something I really wanted. I really felt like I wanted it to be an addition to my life. And I was really like pressing for it. I was relentless about it. But some of the things that I acquired or some of the things that was attached to me, I was like, I don't think it's gonna make it. And he looked at me, he said, yo, to get what you want, you gotta lose what you got. And that stuck with me deep because I wanted this. I had to lose my friends. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I wanted this. I had to lose a lot of things that came with my past. You know, I wanted this, and I want more. So, you know, it's gonna come a time where I'm gonna have to cut ties with something that I love because I wanna go to the next level. Yeah. And it's like everybody ain't gonna be able to come with you on that journey. And if you really want it, you gotta be able to accept that and live with it. You know what I mean? Sometimes it's hard, you know, because you get there and you're like, damn. Because the last thing you want to do is to actually be successful and then feel like you lost. So you got to accept that, you know, because you can get there. Last thing you want to do is achieve something and you don't get that feeling. It's like, that's like the ultimate loss. So that means you wasn't ready for the next level. You just thought you was. So my mindset is like, you know, to get what you want, you got to lose what you got. So if you're willing to do that, then you can move to the next level because you can't look back like that was a regret. Because if you do, you lost. Yeah.
I love it. I love that. And as you gain, as you keep leveling up, like you just said, is what I try to be all about. You're also taking time to give back.
Right.
And Toys in the Hood and other charitable aspects of what you do. Why is that so important to you?
Well, to me, I love kids, man. Kids have always been like the future. And I can only imagine if Tupac would have came and gave me a bike. I started this Street Dreams Foundation back in the neighborhood back in like 2005. And what I would do is I rented out the local gymnasium and I went around to all the hustlers and, you know, all the guys that was out there, you know, banging and keeping the block occupied. And I'm like, yo, man, I got 5,000. You know, let me get 500 from you, a couple hundred from you. I just went around, I got money from everybody, and I went and bought the kids like bikes and clothes and shoes and all these things and lined it up in the gym and had the kids come in and start getting it. And I did that for a couple years. And then I did that pretty much most of my career until I had a friend pull me to the side. It's like, we can get you some help. Because I didn't know that. And then I started doing this annual thing called the Snowball. It's where I have all the big Atlanta heavy hitters come out, from the mayor to all my business friends, and they come and they donate and they bid on things to help out. But to me, man, the community is like, we all we got. Like when it comes to leadership and giving back. And I think about it all the time. Like sometimes I leave the crib, I might move around, especially in Atlanta, and I might just go to a side of town I haven't been in a while to do something. And you look at, because sometimes you get caught up in your own world of how comfortable you live, and then that reality hits you back where, how people are still out here going through things. And it ain't about the money. It's about what you can do to help them, to put them in position. Because a lot of these kids want to go to college.
Yeah.
A lot of these kids want to go to school. A lot of these kids want to learn. A lot of these kids wouldn't mind being in school programs. They just don't have the funding or the transportation or the know-how. So for me, I just feel like, that's the least I could do, because those are my people. Like at the end of the day, it's like, that's my tribe. Like if anything else fails, those are gonna be the people that hold me up high. And I see that with kids when I'm out. Like I could be out, see kids dap them up, their dad like, yo, that's Jeezy. They don't know, they don't even know. They just want to give me a hug. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because they feel like that's somebody that I can trust. And I feel like that's been my purpose. My purpose has been to motivate my people. My purpose has been to lead by example. You know what I'm saying? My purpose has always been to think outside the box and keep pushing the envelope. My purpose is to make sure that I'm here and that I can show these kids a great example. Not that I'm a role model, but like I came out of the fire and I wasn't scared to get burnt. You know what I'm saying? And I put some ointment on it and I jump back in there again, but I'll do it better this time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you do that with everything in your life.
Yeah.
So like now, I had heard, and you correct me if I'm wrong, that you're retiring, right? From the rap game, or you're moving into entrepreneurship, or at least more into the business ventures.
Well, because you're my guy, so I gotta keep it 100 with you. So I had a lot of quarrels with my label at the time, and I just wasn't into it, so I was gonna go independent at the time, and I just felt like that was the best way to back away from the label. So that's where I was then. I don't know where I'm at now with it. I'm more so focused on entrepreneurship because that's like, music is my talent, but business has been my passion like my whole life. Like I love business. Like it's a form of hustling that, it's just like, I love to be productive, and it's just like, that's just a high for me, like taking something that was nothing, making it something, and then selling it to somebody else for more. So for me, I've been focusing more on entrepreneurship and the business ventures that I have, from Figures Wireless, which is a telecommunication company, from Defiance Fuel, which is sports water and sports drink, to my real estate ventures, to produce, and you name it. It's just, the list goes on and on. But that's what keeps me going, because I can only make so many songs. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? It's like, you can only get so many touchdowns where you're like, all right, cool. Yeah. Well, that's what I'm doing. So that's what keeps me going. And music is something that's always going to be a part of me. But you can definitely look for some stuff coming soon.
Yeah. Well, you talked about Snoop. You talked about Ice Cube. I'm sure Jeezy. All these people. The thing that they all do, and it looks like you're following that to a T, is they keep evolving. They keep adapting. They keep looking for more. They keep leveling up, and that's part of the purpose of this show. It's like, you cannot, once you get to it, just because you accomplish your first dream, it's not over. It's time to get going. Now it's really time to dig deep and let's take it to another level and keep going.
You execute, then you move to the next. You execute, you move to the next. Yeah. You don't even take time to sip the Kool-Aid. You sip the Kool-Aid, it's a wrap. You sip that Kool-Aid, it's a wrap.
We'll switch in final questions here too. I want to know about your routines. We talked about at the top of the show. Do you get a lot of sleep? Sleep is one of the big things that I've gotten
sleep
into.
Is something. Man, listen, I'm gonna keep it real, man. I used to be infatuated with my cars, man. That was my bed. Looking at it like late at nights, yeah.
So you get like 6, 7, 8 hours of sleep?
I try on a perfect day, I try to get at least about just 8 hours of good sleep. Just because I know I'm gonna go hard the next day, and I want to be well prepared. Like I don't want to be. But it's been times where I only get like 2 or 1, you know what I'm saying, something like that, and I'm cool with that. But in the picture perfect world, if I can get 6 to 8, I'm good money.
Workouts, stuff like
Every
that.
day.
You work out every day?
Every day. So
you doing free weights or you doing cardio, hiking?
So I probably box 3 times a week. My morning routine starts with definitely you wake up. I call it. You got to read this book. It's called the Miracle Morning. You ever get a
Miracle Morning?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it talks about routines. So I do an hour routine every morning. So I get up. First thing I do is meditate, and I do my grateful period, what I'm grateful for. Then I go through my affirmations.
Oh, I love it.
And
this
then
is my language right here. This is what I love.
Then I go to my vision board, and then I think of 5 things that I'm grateful for. Then I pray. Then I do my ab routine, which I do like maybe for like 15, 20 minutes every morning.
15-minute abs. Huh?
Yeah.
Not 8 minutes.
Got to get it in. And then from there, I check my emails, and then my day starts. So I go to the gym after that, probably get like an hour and a half in. Then it's straight to business. You know what I'm saying? It's like that every day, but that keeps me balanced. You know what I'm saying? That just keeps me in a place where if I don't do that, I'm weird. Like, you know what I'm saying? If I don't,
feel the same way.
Yeah,
I do
gotta have
meditation
that
every morning.
Right, and I'm off.
Workouts. You do like infrared sauna, cold therapy, cold water.
I kind of keep it to the grassroots of what I know. Like I've heard about all that stuff, but I kind of like because of the time I have. So it's just like that's in a lot of time. Like I got enough time to work out. I got enough time to do my hour routine. I got time enough to listen to something. If I want to listen to some podcasts, if I want to listen to some Tony Robbins, some Les Brown, whatever, you know what I mean? Whatever.
So you're listening to all those guys too,
yeah,
right? You're
yeah,
always trying
all the time,
okay, motivation.
Yeah.
What about food? You
man,
you fast or anything like that?
I will if I got, like if I like sometimes I might go on a binge where I might, just eat a bunch of crazy things. Well, I don't eat nothing crazy, so like, but if I do like, well, I'm not really like working out, I just fast before I get back right. And just kind of do a whole cleanse and then go back in. But I'm a pescatarian, so I pretty much eat pretty clean.
Yeah. Really? How long you been a pescatarian?
Maybe about 8 years now.
8 years?
Yeah.
No meat?
No meat.
Wow, that's tough.
Yeah.
I intermittent fast, and people go, "Wow, that's tough." And I'm like, "Yeah, you get used to it." But
I was
eating meat.
I was in the studio with the homies the other day, and I walked in, and they was all eating these buffalo wings. I was like, "Damn, what's that taste like?" God, it looks good.
Does
man.
it still look good? Does this after 8 years? Are you still, when you see some buffalo wings or some ribs
when
or
you smell
fried
buffalo
chicken,
wings,
are you like,
when you smell that,
Yeah.
the smell don't go nowhere. That's real. That's real. You can't get past that.
oh, pescatarian, good for you, man. I
Yeah.
don't know about that. I don't know if that'll ever happen for
Yeah.
me. Tough one. Okay, well, let's keep it on food. Here's some final questions. Last meal, what would it be, and who would you share it with?
Oh man.
You get 3 people. All right, I love this. This is my favorite question to ask people.
Man, it's good.
But what would be your last meal?
My last meal would be sushi.
Sushi.
Yeah. I'll share it with
Any particular sushi, like what, like a California roll, or are you
Nah,
deep into sushi, like the real sushi?
Yeah, I want the thing. I want the sashimi. I want the plethora of, you know what I mean? I need the layout. You know what I'm saying? I need that Matahisu Nobu special. You know what I mean? It'll be with the people I love, man. Like
living or dead too. This is anybody out through history. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Definitely. My grandmother, I doubt she would eat it though. My closest cousin. And I just have to say that one last seat for somebody who's special. I got to figure that out.
Who would that be? Like throughout history, now.
Right.
Anybody?
I got to hold that. I'll hold it. It's gonna be reserved on there.
Okay.
It's go for reserve. So if they show up, you know what I mean. They good.
Okay. Who's your? I know you've had this question before. Who's your favorite rapper of all time?
Man, Tupac.
Tupac.
All day.
Okay. What rap song do you wish? Not wish, but do you admire the most written rap song? That you're like, man, that would have been a good one for me to write, or
song.
Yeah, one you admire the most. Like it was beautifully written. It was hit all the highs, the lows.
Okay, Dear Mama Tupac.
Dear Mama Tupac. Okay,
Probably one of his Yeah, it's probably the best song he ever wrote, honestly. In my opinion.
Yeah, that was a good song. Dream company to invest in?
Dream company to invest in will definitely be something techish, like, I know apps are popping right now, but I would have loved to have been in the first round of Uber, I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah.
So I'm looking for that next thing, but I would love.
So something tech, tech related.
Yeah.
What's your definition of success?
Happiness, man, like fulfillment, just being full and just having good people around you that love you and just being able to do what you love every day. Having, just a great network of people, because that's what it's about, At the end of the day, you can have $1,000,000, that's not gonna do it. You have 100 cars, it ain't gonna change anything. You can have, 50 houses, it's the same. If you're not good in the inside, like none of that stuff is really gonna matter. It might be a good high for a couple of months, but then you're back to the basics. So happiness to me is waking up every morning and that's being successful. Like just knowing that you're happy and everything's good around you. And you feel it. What I mean? You're not concerned, and when things come, you deal with them and you keep moving, but they're not bogging you down. And when you wake up, you look at life the way it's supposed to be. Full, yeah.
Yeah. What's the legacy you want to leave?
For me, I just want to touch and reach as many people as possible, and just hope my actions and my words, just hope my actions always match my words. And I look at somebody like Kobe Bryant and just, look and like, you can only wish to had, been as great as Kobe, but like the legacy he left, he was a great basketball player, and we all saw that, and he was one of the most relentless people we probably ever saw. But what he became after the fact is what we all strive for, to be just 100% all the way around, just a great man. And that's why I want to be at it with it, just a great human being, individual, yeah.
Love that. Last question. What's one area of your life that you'd like to improve in, that you're wide open to learning more about?
Improving, just more learning for me. I love to learn.
Yeah.
Like, that's my thing. Like, I love it. And I ain't scared about it either. Like, some people just like, they just, because when you sit down and talk to people, man, they just got just whatever they specialize in it. Like, they're so passionate about it. And I just want to learn, because if you get a little piece of everybody and you just understand, how important that is to them, and you bring that into your walk of life, it just helps you expand the way you think. You know what I'm saying? My only regret is in my younger years, I just thought minute. And I just never want to be in that space. I always want to just keep an open mind. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Jeezy, appreciate you coming
on,
man.
Appreciate you,
Thank you.
Man. For sure.
You got kids?
Yeah, I got my son's 23, my daughter's 6.
23?
Okay.